we've been your job search besties and helped you in some way, there's a cool way you can support the show. Shout us a virtual coffee.
We get a huge kick out of reading all of your success stories. Head to buymeacoffee.com/interviewboss and shout us a cuppa.
If you keep us caffeinated, we can keep the content coming.
Who do you remember? Oh, you're great. That's who we're going to hire. Like, if you can't recite their name off the top of your head, then they don't get the job.
Yeah, that's insane. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Interview Boss. My name is Emma. I'm a radio journalist who's teamed up with my sister to give you advice, inspiration and support when you're looking for a new job. Sarah is a HR and recruitment professional, and together we're excited to give you all the tips, tricks and behind the scenes knowledge to help you in your career.
Hey, Em, and welcome back, our wonderful listeners. It's time for our favourite part of the podcast, and I think your favourite part too, as our listeners, our Shoot Your Shot shout out. That's where we shout out you guys, our incredible listeners, who've gone out there, used our tips and advice, shot your shot, and landed some big wins or some little wins in your job search. This week, our shout out goes to Kate, who bought us 5 coffees. Oh, thank you for keeping us caffeinated, Kate.
Yes, she said, thanks to your clear and easy to follow advice, I kept applying and found a job. This was after working for 15 years in the same company within the same graphic design role. I was discouraged at first and thought that I had the experience to back up the job ads, but it's a competitive industry. And after making specific resumes and portfolios for each kind of job, for example, a graphic designer in healthcare, a graphic designer in local government, etc., I listened to your episode about not spending too much time working and reworking each resume, and it worked. The job I ended up accepting, I applied with a more generic resume and portfolio that showed my range. Thanks so much for being with me for the journey. I'm still listening as I want to try and eventually get the dream job, but I'm enjoying where I am for now and the excitement of moving forward with goals. Enjoy the coffees, and thanks again from Kate from the Sydney area, which I love. She's a local gal. We don't get too many. Normally we're shouting out international legends. So
I know.
Good to have a local legend.
Hey, Kate from Sydney, and congratulations on landing a new role after 15 years. Sometimes what can be really helpful is after 15 years with the same company, you kind of need like a palate cleanser almost for your resume. Like you kind of need a job to shake off the 15 years in the same spot. Because occasionally companies can see that, or a recruiter can see that, or a manager can see that and think, oh, well, it's a long time since you've learnt something new, like learnt a new industry or a new company. How are you going to go adapting to that? And so you can kind of shake that off a little bit by being in a different role for a year or so. And then she can head for that dream job, whatever that might be.
I love that she's celebrating the medium win. Like this job doesn't have to be the be all and end all, but we're celebrating what a monumental achievement it is, moving from the same job for 15 years to an exciting new step.
Yep. Something else, and it's on the right track. I also really love that it was a generic resume. It can feel like you're being really productive when you're spending all this time tailoring. I just don't know when they're all graphic design roles. I think you'd be better off spending a tiny little portion of that time reworking your bullet points and making them really incredible instead of constantly tweaking.
Yes. Now, if you need a little bit of help to get your dream job or the next exciting step in your career, you can check out all of our different support options. We have one-on-one interview coaching sessions with Sarah. There's about to be a whole lot more availability because she is going full-time into the podcast this year when she moves hemispheres. There is always Interview Academy on demand, step-by-step help with your interview prep, coming up with your best bits, and coming up with a cheat sheet that you can take into any future interview. Lifetime access. You can check out all of the help at interviewboss.com.au/coaching.
And if you liked one of our episodes, you used one of our tips, or you want to request an episode on your specific situation, slide into our DMs and maybe we'll do an episode just for you.
This week, we're talking about the concept of being memorable in your interview, and we're actually going to debunk this belief. So We often hear from people or get questions about how people want to be memorable or stand out in an interview. Now, we get it.
We totally get it, because you're thinking, I'm competing with all these other people. I don't know how many other people are being interviewed or their applications are being looked at. And you want to make sure that you don't get like lost in the crowd. I think that's what people are kind of imagining. Like, oh, if I'm the same as everybody else, I need to do something different so that they remember me. But I'm going to make a bit of a comparison here. And we haven't done this in a little while. What do you think I'm going to say?
Oh, dating.
What do you think I'm going to
Here we go. Do you want to know what my comparison was going to be? I haven't read the notes and I don't know what you're going to say. But it feels like in primary or high school, if you're doing like public speaking or like the talent quest where there's like 15 girls that are about to get up and perform an acoustic song or whatever. And then the person that comes out in the middle to punk rock and does like cartwheels, like that's how it feels. Like they feel like they need to do tricks in order to not just blend into what everyone else is doing.
Yes, exactly. But I want you to think about dating, whether you have dated or whether you have always had your partner or you don't date or whatever. I think everyone can kind of imagine going on dates. They don't blend into each other because they're all the same or you don't remember them. And the person that you like the most and that you want to keep seeing doesn't stand out or be memorable in a special way. It's just good in all the regular ways. Does that kind of make sense? Like, they're not doing anything super special or outlandish or something that's never been seen before in order to kind of get your attention. And that would be kind of odd if that was the case. Someone kind of completely showing off and going out of their way and doing something extreme to kind of impress you.
Like if they bought a singing mariachi band to your door to pick you up for a date.
Oh my God, right? And like, imagine someone had that mindset of like, I need to stand out. I need to be different to all the other guys this person's dated or all the other women or whatever. That would just be weird. Like just showing up and doing all the basic stuff in the right order and then that match happens. That's kind of what we're looking for. I think this one really translates. I know I make that comparison all the time and Emma rolls her eyes every single time, but this one I think people can imagine. I think it's hard to imagine if you've never been on the other side of interviewing or hiring. It feels like you do need to stand out, but we're going to talk about, and I think we're going to convince you by the end of this episode why you don't need to.
Yes. So you've had some real examples of being in an interview that you still think about that low-key haunt you, but not because they were good candidates. So tell me what they were.
Well, these were memorable, but I didn't hire them. They're not because they were good candidates, but they were the most memorable people I've ever met, or the memorable interviews. One candidate was almost certainly high during the interview.
Now, someone has said before to us, oh, I get nervous because sometimes I'm nervous and really jittery and like I'm a fidgeter and are you sure? And like, I just want you to clarify, this is none of the...
No.
She was high.
Absolutely.
Like, she was high.
We asked, what are you doing after this? And she said she was going out because it was a Friday. And so like there were plans to be out, hit the town. And also the behavior wasn't like a tick or like an odd little thing. It was, her jaw was swinging. She kept like stroking her own arms in a really strange way. Like I promise you, I will never forget this interview. She was high.
Wild times.
Memorable, really super memorable. Not a good thing.
Tell me about the candidate that was really overconfident.
Yes, this candidate I think I've talked about potentially in a different episode, but they were giving off a lot of ego vibes throughout the interview, which was probably going to be a bit of a problem in this role where they had to kind of get in and just do whatever we needed them to do to a certain extent. Like it's a kind of get your hands dirty. You don't get to be like an expert specialist only, you know, doing what you like. And so I don't normally ask this question, but I ask the question, what do you think you could improve on or what do you think you could do better in your job? Is there any areas you'd like to learn more about, develop in, like, you know, something? Now, I just think, how could you possibly be the best in the whole world or like 100% perfect in every single area of your role? But as was very telling, as per my hunch, this person said, nope, nothing. I don't want to learn anything. There's nothing I want to develop in. There's just nothing. And it wasn't like they couldn't think of anything. Again, I don't want people worrying about that. They were like, no, No, like absolutely 100% sure they don't want to develop in anything. Not great. Very, very memorable, because the memorable things are the emotional reactions that you kind of have of like, oh, what? Like it catches you off guard. It's odd. It's unusual. That's not the normal kind of response to a question like that. And so it's very memorable and it stands out a lot, but it's not a good thing.
Yeah. What about the one who was reading word for word from their resume?
Yeah. And it's not about kind of copying things from your resume or even reading. I know some people do prep their notes and they have notes or whatever. It was a virtual interview and they were delivering this intro about themselves really, really flat. Like, yep, so I have this many years experience. It's like they just didn't want to be there. Like someone's forcing them to be in this interview. And then halfway through, I went, hold on, they sound like they're reading. Wait, no, open their resume or scroll to the top. Yep, word for word. It was the profile section of their resume. They were just reading. Like there was just nothing going on. Like we're wasting all of our time.
Yeah, not good.
No.
So I guess those were unforgettable for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, totally. I still remember them now. Like some of those were years ago, but we're not wanting to be on that list of memorable interviews. Hey, Interview Boss listeners, if the podcast just isn't doing it for you and you need way more help to prep for your next interview, we have the perfect thing for you. Interview Academy. Em, tell us all about it.
This is huge. This is the love child of Sarah after doing hundreds of one-on-one coaching sessions, finding out what people struggle with the most, common mistakes. Sarah has created the ultimate course that you can do in your own time, self-paced, heaps of modules, videos, interactive quizzes, a workbook that will become your Bible by the end that you can take with you into your interview, because if you're a long-time listener, you know that we endorse taking notes into your interview. It's a game changer.
Check out more about it at interviewboss.com.au/interview academy.
And like, this concept's hard. I feel like it's almost controversial because it goes against everything we've ever been told or believe. Like I said about the talent quest, I feel like this concept bleeds into other parts of life as well. Like you want to stand out. Like, you know, if you're pitching a business idea, you want to be different and capture the attention. And so it feels like I'm sold, I believe you, but I'm a bit like, oh, I feel resistance because it does feel like you need to stand out.
Yeah, I think let's go with your talent quest example then. And let's workshop that a little bit. So let's say there's heaps of people just coming up and doing like a song with an acoustic guitar. And to stand out, you think, I need to do something different. I need to wear a cool outfit. I need to do a crazy entrance. I need to, you know, do a theme or do a really different song or something like that. And look, that will probably be entertaining for people to watch for sure. But that's not the only way to get attention and to be good at the talent quest. Because I promise you, even if there's 20 people who come up and do a solo song with an acoustic guitar, when one person comes up and it's a beautiful, beautiful song and their voice is incredible and it's moving and it's like really, really good at that very simple thing, I promise you that will be very memorable and very meaningful as well. Does that kind of make sense? Like, people go to, how do I do something completely different to everyone else? I think you should focus on, how do I do the normal stuff really well? How do I do the interview well and communicate super clearly, and I'm really making an impact with all of my stories? I'm showcasing all of my different skills. I'm picking great stories. I'm building rapport really well. I don't have to do anything different or memorable or creative necessarily to stand out. Now, that's a little bit different when you're talking about, you know, you work in marketing and they told you to come with some cool pictures or whatever. Like, great, leave your creativity in something different for those types of things where creativity is the actual skill. Creativity is not the skill for interviews.
Yeah, and I guess like the person that comes out and does 3 flips and has a ridiculous loud song and is in a spiky outfit or something, it's like, whoa, and like it captures attention, but it doesn't mean people are afterward going, wow, they're so talented. Like that was, everyone's talking about it as in, whoa, like, geez, that got me, that woke me up, but they're not saying like, wow, that person's got talent.
And they're not going to follow you on Instagram and hear more songs for you and buy a CD, are they? Like, who are they buying the CD from? It's the one with the acoustic guitar who they were like, wow, it's the same stuff, but it's really, really good.
Yeah. There you go. We've kicked out the dating analogy. Talent Quest analogies are in. I wonder if they call them Talent Quest in other countries.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
It's just like in Australia in primary school, it's just like once a year, anyone can go in it. You don't have to have talents. Like me and my sisters every year went in one. You'd get a group of friends together. Your mum would help you make a dance or your older sisters, and you'd practice like a couple times, and then you'd get to go up on the stage in front of the school and perform it. But the key here is you did not have to have talent. Like it was basically just fun. All the little girls would do a dance. The boys would like play their drums, or some little boys would get up and tell jokes. Like some people would do magic tricks. It was just totally innocent. But it was like the social highlight of the year. Like if you weren't in the Talent Quest, what were you doing?
I wonder if, I think I talked about this with Annie, our other sister, recently. I think she said, do bigger schools do that? Because we grew up in the country and we went to a primary school that had a couple of hundred people in the whole school, from kinder all the way up to year 6 or grade 6, what someone would call. And I wonder if you were at a massive school, whether they can't be doing days of performances, can they?
Yes. And maybe they would have to vet you for actual talent. Like they'd be like...
Maybe they would have heats where you'd have to make it through, and it'd be like basically a version of like America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent or Australia's Got Talent or whatever, where you have to make it through the stages to get to the finals.
Quick shout out to my mum, our mum. We did an iconic performance when I was like 6 to Boot Scootin' Baby. What's that song? Like 5, 6, 7, 8. Anyway, it's a really long, repetitive song. So we had done the routine like 2 or 3 times. It was just repetitive. It was like a grapevine clap, a twist, a Yahoo lasso, like a pivot, and then it repeated.
Were you all wearing little denim skirts?
And and a white Diamante singlet with a cowgirl hat. And anyway, the dance had been rinsed and repeated, but they stopped the music and cut us off before we were finished. And my mum marched up there and was like, excuse me, my girls weren't finished. So they invited us back up at the end to finish it off. And we thought,
oh my God. Did you have to start from the beginning?
Yeah, we had no idea. We were like, oh my God, we were so good that they asked us back. But really it was just because my mum complained and was like, we put in so much work.
And they had a good final move,
yeah.
Even though it was like repetitive through the middle. There was one final dance move at the end.
There was a final move, and you haven't even seen it yet. So yeah, that was hilarious.
You thought you got an encore?
Yeah, pretty much. It did terrible things for my 7-year-old ego.
That's hilarious. Well, there's a home video of this. Maybe we'll have to release some footage on our Instagram. Maybe that will be a little carrot for someone to go and watch our Instagram or follow us on there. Chuck us a little like.
But to get back to the point.
Yes.
A great interview for the interviewer. What does that feel like then if they aren't looking to be wowed and blown away and remember you crazily?
Yeah, I think a great interview, and even a good interview as well. Like you hire plenty of people just from a good interview. It doesn't have to be incredible or great, but it flows. It makes you feel confident in their ability to do the job. They might not answer every question the way that you exactly expect them to, because there's no answer that you have in your head of how it's meant to go or what they're going to say. You're just kind of throwing it out there. But you find yourself going, okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, that's good. That's a good story. Good skills that are demonstrating. Okay, I'm imagining that kind of lines up with what we're looking for. They don't shock or surprise you. There's nothing kind of out of the ordinary about the way that people are doing things. They just make sense. And I think we hear that a lot in our feedback from people shouting us a coffee, is that it's just common sense, clear, easy to follow advice, because we're not trying to be groundbreaking and do anything really crazy. It also makes you walk away thinking, I can imagine that person in the role. Now, I don't want someone to run away with that and think that they have to always reference the role. That's not the case at all. But me hearing about what you've done before makes me think about connecting the dots and imagining you doing this job. And if I can imagine you doing this job, then that's exactly what you want. You're not going to be thinking, wow, what an unforgettable conversation. Like all the people that I've hired that have been the best hires and the people that I've been most confident about, walking out of the room going, cancel all the rest of the interviews, that's the one. There's nothing special that they're doing. I couldn't even remember what particular way that they answered a question or whatever, but I remember the examples that they maybe gave that stood out to me or something. I remember the general vibe and I wrote notes about, what I thought about them.
On that note, like you said, where you were like, cancel the rest of the interviews, I've found my person. Like, I have definitely heard managers at my work be so excited for a new person to come on board because they're like, they blew it away in the interview. They're great. They're going to do such an awesome job. So like, how does that fit into them not being memorable?
I think what I'm trying to get at is when people are asking this question, I can hear in the context of their question that it's coming from a place of searching for something, searching for an answer, looking for a pointer that's going to help them be memorable and outside of the regular advice. Does that kind of make sense? Like, oh, I know that I need to do my best bits and whatever, but how do I be memorable? Like, there's a separate thing that is how you are memorable aside from everything else we talk about. But I think the reality is that when people are saying, oh, they interviewed incredibly, it was so good. First of all, interviewers don't pay attention very much to like why it sounded good or whatever. They don't know. They can't point out exactly what that candidate did or said or whatever. I can do that because I've done so many interviews. I could be like, oh yeah, she had really structured answers. Interviewer would be like, what do you mean? I didn't notice that. Because they don't. Because when you do it properly, it just sounds like it flows. It sounds like communication. It sounds like they understand you and they can imagine you in the job. So you can still have someone say that. And I guess in a way, they can be excited about you or you can be the perfect fit or the perfect candidate or whatever, but it's not standing out being memorable in the way that people think about it.
And a little side note on bulk interview processes, Sarah, what do people need to know?
I spoke to someone recently in an interview coaching session and they were going for like a grad program style application process where there's lots and lots of interviews happening. And one of their colleagues had kind of said to them, they're trying to be helpful, I'm sure, oh, it looks like you must be one of the first ones to be booked in for the interviews. By the time they get to the end, they're going to have forgotten about you. So you need to work extra hard to be memorable.
Side note, I feel like that's conflicting because most people would argue first and last are the best people to be, and it's the middle people that get forgotten about if we're rolling with that set of thoughts.
I know, right? And it's like, it's kind of funny to think that the interviewers would just would sit around in a circle with no notes, with no nothing, and just be like, who do you remember? Oh, yeah, great. That's who we're going to hire. Like, if you can't recite their name off the top of your head, then they don't get the job.
Yeah, that's insane.
And so interviewers make notes. They make notes either during the interview and you'll actually see them making notes because it's a responsible thing to do, or directly afterwards about their thoughts. They might put that in an email to someone. They might write it in a system. They might, talk to someone else about it, but they're discussing their thoughts. They're writing down their thoughts. They're capturing it somewhere. So they don't have to remember you. They will go back and look at their notes. And when they're looking to make a decision, they will look through everyone. What did they rate them at the time? What did they think about them? And they go, oh, yeah, that's right. They were really good. They don't have to remember the interview, the question that you answered or the whatever. They will be able to jog their memory based on your application and based on the notes that they made about your interview. You do not have to be memorable and be worried about, oh, you're at the beginning, so they're going to forget you. If anything, being at the end, they're kind of sick of it. They've asked the same questions however many times in a row. Like, the energy is just not going to be as good from them, and therefore the energy from you might be off because they're off-putting and they're kind of flat. I would book first in the interview. Do not be worried about being remembered at the end.
Boom. There you have it. Controversial take. You don't need to be memorable. You just need to do your best.
Are you convinced?
I think I'm convinced. No jazz hands needed.
I think some of these things we talk about is a matter of like, what do you mean by that word? It's a definitional kind of thing that we're talking about. But I think the concept remains. If you're trying to look for a secret or a hack or a whatever, you're barking up the wrong tree.
You will not find the secret formula to the Krabby Patty here. It doesn't exist.
We're mixing our examples because anyone who's listened to the confidentiality episode, the Krabby Patty secret formula.
It's been a while. We haven't referenced SpongeBob in a hot minute, so it's about time.
I know. I miss our SpongeBob references. Maybe we'll have to both watch a little bit more SpongeBob so that we can insert it in a little bit. I think that would be good. Thanks so much for listening to Interview Boss. If you like hearing the sound of our voices, follow us on Apple or Spotify or wherever else you get your podcasts. Or better yet, send this episode to someone or tell them about the show. That's how we can hit the charts and we can reach even more people all around the world. For more advice, inspiration, and some savable content, check us out on Instagram @InterviewBoss and chuck us a follow. Can you believe we started Interview Boss in 2021?
Not really. It's insane. That's a lot of episodes and a lot of hours of talking.
Oh my gosh, it is. And if you're scrolling through all of our episodes, you might scroll straight past something that you really, really needed.
Yes, we're always getting messages from people asking us to do an episode on something, and I'm like, we already have.
So we've put together playlists to help you find the episodes that are exactly what you need, suited to your situation.
They're all categorized. If you're applying for jobs, we have episodes about resumes, cover letters, job ads. If you've been offered your dream job, we have episodes on resigning, exit interviews, and how to impress at your new company.
And we even have a very special playlist that's very popular for if you have an interview coming up immediately and you need just our most recommended hard-hitting episodes between now and then.
For all our last-minute listeners. It's all there for you. You can browse by category and check out all the playlists at interviewboss.com.au/podcast.